TC, I will be with you momentarily as I am using one of my lens cleaning towelettes to get my specs all shiny to begin the week.
As well you should. One ought not to have speckled specs.
I finally bought like a whole box of these things.
I know. You gave me one. Look, I have one right here. Good job.
Do you need any more?
Yeah.
It's like an industrial size.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
Like we're in a plant.
Exactly. You like that. All right.
And by the way, wash your hands when leaving, please.
Who, what?
Ladies and gentlemen, the foliage was gorgeous this weekend. I was driving around the Philly burbs, put a lot of miles on the car, and I thought to myself, this is peak season. It really looked beautiful, just spectacular, and everything changing. Fall's a nice time for a road trip. Why not put the New Parks Casino Shippensburg, PA on your list if you live in Western Maryland, Northern Virginia, South Central PA, West Virginia? I'm talking about communities like Hagerstown, Maryland, Winchester, Virginia, Martinsburg, West Virginia, Chambersburg, PA, Carlisle, PA, Shippensburg, not too far from Harrisburg, our state capital. What will you find when you get there? How about 500 state-of-the-art slot machines, 48 live dealer electronic table games featuring blackjack, roulette, and more. You can bet sports on the Bet Parks Sportsbook kiosks, which are throughout the casino, and then stay and watch all the action, have some good grub, have a cocktail, enjoy yourself. Visit parkscasino.com, P-A-R-X. Got to be 21 for the casino. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Time now for more headlines from the Smerconish.com Monday edition of the newsletter. I was really interested in the Sunday poll result, and I was interested to see how high would the no votes go. I knew that it was going to be lopsided, but here's the question. Was it
No, were you curious to see how high the yes votes would go or how the no votes would go?
No.
I was floored by how high they went.
Okay, let me frame the question. Was it unsportsmanlike for a Virginia high school to win a football game 104-0? And I think it's unsportsmanlike.
Who are the 25.02%?
That's what I wanted to know.
What is going on here?
Well, I'm sure, and I've looked at comments on stories, they are of this mindset, like, learn a lesson. This is the real world.
Who's learning the lesson?
Nobody's going to help you up.
Who's learning the lesson?
The people on the team on the receiving end of the beating.
The drubbing. They're getting a lesson? I don't know.
From USA Today, we're hoping that the mascot for Phoebus High School doesn't have to do push-ups following every point scored. If so, they better serve protein drinks and Red Bulls at the snack shop. That will be one tired mascot. That's because Phoebus, which is in Hampton, Virginia, Phoebus, beat Jamestown, which is in Williamsburg, by a 104-0 score line. Did the scoreboard actually have enough room for the triple digits of points?
That's incredible.
You'll be interested to know that it was 83-0 at the half.
Wow.
I mean, come on. This is when you put a guy like me in. This is when the third string quarterback gets a lot of touches and gets to see what he can do. Have you ever watched a sporting event or participated in a sporting event, maybe at the North Carolina School of Animal Husbandry and Science, that was a blowout?
Not like that.
I mean, I'm
sure I have, that it's very lopsided, but nothing like that.
When I was in high school, my football team, and I've been very clear that I was a bench warmer, but we were a state champion. This was before they actually had the formal playoff system, so I can't prove it, but I can only tell you that we were ranked number one in the entire state for large high schools. And so there were lots of blowouts, but Coach Patton, my legendary high school football coach, he would never have been associated with something that was 83-0 at the half or 104-0 at the final gun. And I am not for, there's discussion here. Listen to this, again, about this blowout. How should coaches and teams handle a blowout, especially in youth sports? Should a mercy rule automatically end games early? Should teams be forced to bench starters? Should players stop trying to score? Should coaches be suspended? There was a high school basketball coach in Connecticut a couple of years ago, suspended after his team won by 88 points. The final score in that game was 92-4. They had full court presses on for like the duration of the game.
I'm watching the YouTube comments, and it is interesting. A lot of people are saying that they think that was unsportsmanlike, but then some people are saying, like Joe Abrams.
Who?
Joe Abrams. Why is it unsportsmanlike?
Joe?
The losing coach had every opportunity to forfeit if the game was out of reach.
Oh, come on, Joe.
What are they supposed to do? Deliberately throw interceptions?
No, you put in a guy like me. And by the way, you don't need a mercy rule. I mean, I'm not asking for some formal outcome. It's just like, you know it when you see it and you handle it appropriately.
Kate Kelly said, my daughter's high school basketball team shut the scoring off once a team reached 50 points over the opposing team.
I mean, we've talked about this in the past. I had a whole chapter in my book, Muzzled, about exactly this subject. And I was of the mindset when I wrote that book that we were coddling kids by not. If I went back, and I have Muzzled here in my stack, if I pulled that out, I know that I wrote and said that I thought we were coddling kids by not keeping score in T-ball. Okay, but this is outrageous.
Joe Abrams says, Michael, you know I'm right.
Anyway, I thought it was a remarkable story.
It's
and
incredible.
20,441. Thank you for your votes on this. How many thought it was unsportsmanlike? 75-25 said it's unsportsmanlike. 25% are like Joe Abrams and did not think that it was unsportsmanlike, which I thought was really a surprise. Friday poll results, 22,615 will, not should. Will Joe Manchin run for president? 52% said yes in round numbers. James Clyburn penned an essay for CNN.com. It made the cut for the Monday edition of the newsletter, trumpeting the argument that says it's undemocratic. I don't understand how you say like a third-party candidate makes it undemocratic. They're going to have to come up with a better way to spin that. Saturday, TC, Michael Ramirez is a Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist who is not yet associated with the Smerconish.com.
What day is that going to be?
Newsletter.
Coming soon.
But he published a cartoon in his home Las Vegas Review newspaper, and it was published in the Washington Post.
Briefly.
And then the Post deleted it, was embarrassed by it, and apologized for it. And it shows an individual looking like the Hamas spokesman, and it was titled Human Shields, and he has like women, infants, and children strapped to his body. And some thought that it was conflating all Palestinians with Hamas or all of Islam with Hamas.
I think the most pointed comments that I got over the weekend with that on Twitter had to do with the Palestinian flag on the left side of that cartoon. Like, if it hadn't had that, then maybe, which was, I think that's probably a valid
I appreciated the opportunity to talk to him about it, show it.
Right.
And discuss the criticism.
Right.
I was very proud of.
Yeah.
I was very proud of the way we handled that segment.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great conversation. But here's the point: 84.09% of 37,833.
Yeah.
Should the Washington Post have removed it? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I mean, I think he should like those results.
As I said earlier, there is this Rorschach test playing itself out now under the Gaza hospital called Al-Shifa, where Israel says, here is the prime example of Hamas using civilian population as human shields, and we believe they've got a bunker and tunnels, and this is a command post, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, Palestinians say, look at the suffering, look at the kids dying. Look what's taking place at this and other hospitals. At this one, child who was on an incubator died over the weekend. I say Rorschach test. Each is coming up with their argument, but I have got to believe we're going to see that cameras are going to get there, and we're going to see exactly what the deal is in that particular hospital. So that'll be interesting. Today's poll question, make sure you're voting which side benefits if the Trump federal subversion trial is televised. I know the conventional wisdom is, well, Trump is just going to use that as a platform and it'll be to his advantage if there are cameras in a federal courtroom when he's tried before Judge Tanya Chutkan, notwithstanding the federal rule that doesn't allow cameras in courtrooms, but the media has requested it. And the Trump side has weighed in and says, yes, we want cameras. And the federal prosecutors, Jack Smith, have said, we don't want cameras in this courtroom. I'm asking, which side would benefit if there were cameras in that courtroom? TC, more headlines now from the Monday edition of the newsletter. There were some things over the weekend that were just too good to go unmentioned on radio.
No question about that. You want to start with Eric Adams?
Yeah.
What is going on in New York?
Well, I got to tell you, I think it's huge. It reminds me so much, maybe you were about to say this,
I was
of
about
Philadelphia
to say
and
that
the bug.
Someone always says to me, the feds don't mess around.
For them to approach, unannounced, Eric Adams and his security detail and ask the security detail to back off so that they could then get in his SUV, relieve him of his cell phone and an iPad is huge.
Huge.
You don't do that
Huge.
with a sitting mayor of a major city or any other city unless and look, no one has accused him of wrongdoing. Someone in his orbit is clearly the focus of an investigation having to do with foreign campaign contributions. But they want, and remember, he came back to New York from an out-of-state trip when the search warrant was executed against that associate of his. So
What is going
it's
on?
a huge story. Here's the Times broke it. Here was their coverage. The agents approached the mayor after an event in Manhattan on Monday evening, and this just came to light at the end of the week. That's why this was a week ago today. Obviously, Eric Adams didn't want it revealed and asked his security detail to step away, a person with knowledge of the matter said. They climbed into his SUV with him and, pursuant to a court-authorized warrant, which had to meet a standard of probable cause, took his devices. The devices, at least 2 cell phones and an iPad, were returned to the mayor within a matter of days, according to that person and another familiar with the situation. Law enforcement investigators with a search warrant can make copies of the data on devices after they seize them. So we will keep our eye on that. I don't know, when was the last time you went to the movies?
Ages ago. Like, I don't even remember.
So I've seen 2 movies recently.
In the theater?
In the theater, yeah.
Oh.
One, I don't remember the name of it, but you see the promo for it all over the place. It's the Paul Giamatti movie where he works at a boarding school and the kids go home for Christmas, but some get left behind, and it's his relationship with one particular student.
The Holdovers.
The Holdovers, yeah. Thumbs up.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs up to The Holdovers. It's getting great reviews, and it's nice. It's predictable, but it's nice.
Feels like I would like it.
But it's not.
I know the boarding school
You would
world.
definitely
Yeah.
like it. Did you not see Oppenheimer?
I did not.
Okay, Oppenheimer.
And I didn't see Barbie.
Oppenheimer is. I don't know how long
Or
Barbie
Eras.
is. But yeah,
The
but
Eras
I'm
tour.
focused on now lengthy movies. Oppenheimer is 3 hours long. Martin Scorsese's 3 hour and 26-minute film, Killers of the Flower Moon. David Gran, our friend who wrote
That's a half a day.
Here's the question, and this too was in a weekend edition of the Smerconish.com newsletter. If the movie's 3 hours long, much less 3 hours and 26 minutes, do you need a break?
Yes.
You need a break.
You need a break because
do we
otherwise
stop
you're
the
going to use
film?
that. You're going to use that app. You know that app? It's called
Mr. Skin?
No, Run P. Same. Great. Thank you for bringing up Mr. Skin. Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
I think it's Dr. Skin, actually.
Of course, to you.
Dr. Skin just lets you know at what milepost in the movie you're going to see some nudity.
Seriously?
Right.
Okay, but the Run one tells you
When to
what's
go to
a
the
good
bathroom?
time to go to the bathroom. But the problem is...
I never heard of that.
The problem is, I've heard, because this came to light sort of after I stopped going to the movies. Didn't mean to stop, but you know what I mean. Everybody goes at the same time.
Really? Because they all know?
They all know that that's the break in the action. That they won't miss anything.
So the question is, do we want an intermission, and how long must a film... Look, Oppenheimer...
There has to be an intermission because otherwise people are going to be either
TC,
dehydrated or trying to run out of the bathroom.
I went with my wife to Oppenheimer a couple of weeks ago. It was 3 hours long, but the previews were another 20 minutes.
Yeah, previews are so long.
There's a quote in the story that we pinned to from Gordon Matlock, who is identified as a Morgan Hill, California call center supervisor who said after watching Killers of the Flower Moon, "I'm 59 years old. A lot of things in my body have changed." Amen. Amen to that.
Yeah, but I don't think the film people want there to be an intermission also. Like they don't want a break in the action.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitche Gumee.
I kept hearing that all weekend. I was like, why? What's going on? Like, what went on here? And now I know.
48 years ago.
Now I know.
The Edmund Fitzgerald sank in Lake Superior. I read in, we had this story in the weekend versions of Smerconish.com. I read in, learned a lot of things about the Edmund Fitzgerald. Gordon Lightfoot, of course, wrote and sang the terrific song. I didn't know the ship was named for the president and CEO of its owner, Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company. Edmund Fitzgerald died in 1986, was a civic leader in his hometown of Milwaukee, credited with helping establish the city's Performing Arts Center, port facility, and Amtrak station. He was also the grandson of a Great Lakes boat captain. It sank on November 10. Today's the 13th. November 10, 1975. No survivors.
And we still don't know how it sank. I mean, there were distress calls. It was a rough night, but we do not know exactly what happened.
He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." I love that song.
It's an incredible song.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's an amazing.
Song.
It's kind of like Don McLean's American Pie.
Oh.
Long and tells a very elaborate story. Okay, sticking with the musical theme, there's a method to our madness here. Some SiriusXM listeners, subscribers, not happy. They want their deep tracks moved back to where it was.
It's still there. It just moved up the dial, and they're not happy about it.
Isn't that funny?
I think it's hysterical.
I thought when I saw the headline, oh my God, Deep Tracks is
gone?
Yeah,
No,
it's not gone.
It's not gone.
You know what I listened to this weekend, and I was surprised that it's still airing. I was going to send Dave Gorab a note and ask, am I right that yacht rock used to go away?
Yes, and by popular demand. I don't know how much, I don't know if it's now all year round, but it is still sticking around, and it comes back earlier. It might be year round.
I've said this before. The person among, how many are on the planet? 7 billion, 8 billion? A lot of people. The person most elated, or ought to be most elated about the existence of yacht rock is Michael McDonald.
Why?
What a fool believes.
Because it's on every,
oh my God, every rotation. And your Toto song.
Oh, I love that.
Constantly on Yacht Rock.
I love that.
Can we go a week? In the night.
And just imagine doing Flywheel. That's why I started falling in love with it.
Boys, he's waiting there for you.
Just pumping away. Best.
Can we
Hey,
just
I was
go a
asked
week
this weekend. I was telling
those?
someone that we listened to the Grateful Dead channel on SiriusXM from 6 a.m. when you get into the studio until 9. Mm-hmm. And they were surprised knowing your musical, not like how much you like music and your eclectic mix. That you didn't mix it up, that you don't listen to a different channel that like a classic rock channel.
We used to listen to The Bridge.
Yeah.
We used to listen to The Bridge.
Yes, I know. So I'm asking you this.
And then we made a change. And we never went back.
I'm asking you this. Like, what's the deal?
I don't know. It's just because, and we like David Lemieux.
We really
He's
do.
hysterical.
And I'm basically, as I said to this person.
You are.
I'm on the bus.
Yeah. You know all the songs.
I know all the songs.
You might not be able to identify them by song title, but you know all the songs.
But I know drums and bridges, and it's time to get a beer and the whole situation.
Space and drums.
Whatever.
Yes. Space and drums is when you run to.
That's right.
Well, you don't need the app for that.
I'm like, Michael, is this the time to get the beer? You're like, yep.
I told everybody that I loved and TC loved the Sylvester Stallone documentary on Netflix, and it's the backdrop is he's packing up his mansion, reliving his life stories, and at the end, you know, like the moving van pulls away.
Yeah.
But and I said to TC, did I miss something? Does he explain where he's going and why?
Now we know.
Florida, Palm Beach.
But I think it's another message to that, a layer in both the Sly movie and the aftermath. And that is, he says, I'm going to be around for what, another 20 years? I don't want to be complacent for 20 years. I like that. Like, mix it up, keep going, do stuff, stay alive, stay active.
I can't believe we saved this for so late in the program. You know that I'm a big Bill Burr fan. With Dr. Maz and my friend Mike Baldini. Saw Bill Burr in Atlantic City this summer. Had a wonderful time. Listened to his podcast occasionally.
Appreciate his humor.
Yeah, have watched all of his Netflix specials,
Yep.
and I think I understand him and appreciate him, even though he goes out of his way to always lump all the cable outlets, I guess including yours truly, but not by name, together. Anyway, so I knew from his discussion that he was at the end of a tour And the finale was going to be Madison Square Garden Friday night, which is the pinnacle for a comedian or for any performer. So at the Garden on Saturday night was UFC 295, Ultimate Fighting Champions. Bill Burr was there. Donald Trump was there. Donald Trump was there with what? With who? Tucker, Kid Rock,
yes,
and Dana White.
Yes, and I think Donald Trump Jr. was also there.
Okay, so Trump comes in for ringside
and
or
evidently
octagon.
High spirits, they said, wearing his
received.
trademark, flashing, cheering, everything.
Yeah, it's his environment. And Nia is Bill Burr's wife, African American, just trying to tell a story. Yeah. And so I guess Burr, having been a headliner at the Garden the night before, is right there in row 2
right,
with his wife. Mm-hmm. In walks Donald Trump, and she gives him the finger.
Not just one finger.
2 fingers.
Double bird.
Right, just so there was
double bird.
I forget how TC does it. But.
You got to scrunch. Come on, you can do it. Scrunch the fingers in like this, see?
Yeah. So there you go. Pretty interesting, right?
All right, good.
Yeah.
There's more, but we'll get to we'll just keep adding on every day.
Yeah, I mean, we were just catching up. We were just catching up in terms of some great stories from the weekend.
And now we got to
go. Okay, I was going to mention the golfer and
well, I mean, just
Alice's editing cropping of the photo.
No, she didn't
crop
it.
And then TC interceded.
You can't crop if the whole story is about showing the tushy. You can't crop the tushy. You got to show the tush.
I thought I had a good headline on that.
Oh,
but
did
you'll have to be a newsletter subscriber in order to see it.
Yeah, go click on that.
Go vote on today's poll question. If the Trump trial, the federal subversion trial, were televised, which side would benefit from that? You know how I feel. See ya.